Ladies and gentlemen, never judge a book by its cover, because today's game on the surface might look like a kid's platformer, but once you sift through its pages, you'll realize that this is a rare gem that not only stands its ground as its own game, but confidently stands next to phenomenons like Lies of P and Sekiro. I am not being hyperbolic. Another Crab's Treasure is genuinely an incredible experience. So much so that it should be called another crab banger, because much like Crab Champions, this game captures the essence of what it's like to become a crab. Though I must be upfront, the game does in fact commit the worst mistake any Souls-like can. Another Crab's Treasure does not have a get all achievements achievement. Come on bruh, it's current day of current year.
Stop it. Get some help.
For brevity's sake, I will refer to Another Crab's Treasure by many different names throughout the video. For example, Seakiro feels like it takes the best elements of many Souls-likes and bundles them all into one beautiful package. You might feel an element of Mortal Shell when you go from a fragile butt-naked goob into a powerhouse when you mantle a new shell that comes with its own defense stats, dodge rolling weight, and special spells, of which there are dozens, creating enough space for the age-old dilemma: utility or fashion. That's just the tip of the iceberg, because Dark Shells takes the most inspiration from games like Sekiro, Lies of P, and Elden Ring. The combat is just what you'd expect from the genre. You attack to kill and dodge or block to avoid damage. Simple. But here enter the Sekiro inspirations. The game has no stamina bar, meaning the combat has no downtime where you need a moment to charge back up. Only times you do experience slower pacing is when you're getting your shell kicked in. But that's a Kril issue on your part. To contrast that with some other inspirations, dealing damage or blocking attacks builds up an enemy's balance meter in an identical fashion to the lovely groggy mechanic from Lies of P. Once the meter starts flashing, you can heavy attack the enemy to capsize them and have a window of brief respite to heal or deal massive damage. What further drives the Sekiro inspiration is your weapon. Throughout the game, you will always have your trusty fork and claw. It could be trashy, or it could be goated. Regardless, it's the same fork that comes with the same moveset, allowing you to quickly get the hang of combat and incorporate other elements into fights, like the aforementioned shell spells or adaptations. Think of these like the prosthetic from Sekiro or Legion Arm from Lies of P. It's a tool that greatly expands your arsenal with shticks you don't get from other sources. They're not necessary to win fights, but they sure help a lot, especially a particular one you get from Redacted. This adaptation takes the satisfying Souls-like gameplay feel and turns it into a hack and slash, where you just left click to win. On one side it feels way too overtuned, but on the other you have to earn it, so maybe it intentionally quadruples the power fantasy. Where adaptations shine most is in exploration. Shellden Ring is as much of a platformer as it is a Souls-like. You'll be jumping, grappling and climbing for the larger part of the game, and it never feels too much. The fluidity of traversal speaks for itself, but it alone wouldn't be enough to justify hours upon hours of platforming. What does make up for it is the art direction. The theme of the game is overwhelming in the greatest of ways, and I absolutely adore its take on genre-specific elements. I really love seeing what bonfires and XP names look like in different Souls-likes. So when I stumbled across my first moon snail shell, I knew I'm in for a good ride, because this is a damn good looking bonfire. The same is true for microplastics, which are the Souls equivalent of this game, though they come with a slight deviation from the norm. In Dark Souls, if you need a top off to level up, you can pop an XP cluster that comes with a general naming scheme. Like, Soul of a Fallout 3 fan would give you an incredibly small amount, feeding to their IQ, whereas Soul of a Serious Chad would give you thousands. Well, here in Kril you have common house utilities with claw in their name, and I think that's super cute. It fills me with bliss seeing the whole ocean world take on elements I've grown accustomed to. A spray can creating a foam platform, crabs holding Q-tips as swords, and all these things that are small for us Gynamanosaurus humans being colossal enough to create a world for underwater critters make for a very compelling setting that naturally hypnotizes you to explore every nook and cranny. And in this exploration, you'll stumble across cubes and metal crabs that only respond to adaptations. At best, the pathways they reveal reward you with high quality loot. At worst, they create a mental note that there is more out there waiting for you. Another thing you'll be seeing very often is crystals. These bad boys are the fuel you need to unlock new abilities and passives in the game's skill tree. This is where you'll start to feel the game's power fantasy, going from the defensive side to grappling into enemies, bonking enemies, or sharpening your defensive capabilities with some very satisfying moves. It's a great system that creates a sense of progression with its immediately noticeable additions, and it's not the only source for that sense of progression, as you can upgrade your stowaway count, allowing you to squeeze in stronger stowaways for build-specific needs, you can upgrade your weapon, and you can upgrade adaptations, all of which remain relevant progressions up until the very final stretch of the game. Now it's time we talk about the difficulty. Lies of Kril is a very friendly first Souls-like experience for those that have never dipped their toes in the genre. It's a challenging game, but in the fairest of ways, in large part due to its many quality of life additions. For example, if you die at a boss, you get the option to respawn at a Stake of Marika, or Moon Jelly as they're called, right in front of the boss arena. And not only that, you also get your microplastics and shell directly underneath the Moon Jelly in Lies of P fashion. If you happen to die outside of a boss arena, you won't as easily get your microplastics back, but you don't have to condemn yourself to engage with the situation that got you killed for them in the first place, as you can reel your loot back in from a safe distance. The bosses themselves will still try to do what they always do, which is destroy your self-esteem. Most of them are quite easy to read in less than 5 attempts, but there are a particular few that will really test your capabilities with super tight dodging windows and combos that punish greedy plays. Luckily, you can adapt and overcome without thinking about all the XP you lost or experience instances of unnecessary cardio. Just make sure you don't come into this game thinking it's going to be a cakewalk because of its cute setting. The game still is a Souls-like through and through. Unless you activate the assist mode setting and fine-tune the difficulty to your liking, or grab the gun shell that one-shots everything in the game. Despite the overwhelming praise, I do have some qualms with Wolong Crustacean Dynasty. Firstly, as to be expected from a small 11 people indie studio, there are some bugs. There's nothing bad enough to make me say "you're stupid," but I've been sent to incredible heights for heavy attacking multiple times, and even had an instance where I was punched so hard I went under the map. Secondly, there's no New Game Plus. The story is very on rails, and all the questions it raises throughout your journey pretty much return answered once you do what must be done. You play as a little hermit crab by the name of Kril that just wants to chill on an island in his shell, until one day the taxman pulls up and yoinks his shell, sending you out on an adventure to get your home back by any means that aren't paying your taxes. The deeper you venture in search of your home, the more mysteries arise, and the game shifts from a cutesy color fest into something that can be only described as Brineborne. Another Crab's Treasure is a fantastic Souls-like experience both for newcomers and seasoned vets that comes with a phenomenal level of attention to detail. The keyboards the developers used probably melted with the way they were cooking this game up. It is a bit short, taking roughly 16 hours to 100%, but it's worth every second. I genuinely had my jaw drop more than a dozen times with some of the vistas and pleasant references, which is why the final rating for Another Crab's Treasure is a marine out of 10. That's about it. Don't forget to slap like, slap wife, it's Karub, and I shall catch you next time.